Welcome back to a brand new season of the Mind Mountain podcast. This is the podcast that delves deep into the mental performance side of mountain biking so that you guys, the listener, can learn tools, tips, and tactics to help you become a better rider and have more fun out on the trails more often. Today's guest is Ollie Hooper. Ollie hails from Bristol in England, and he moved to Canada to chase his mountain dreams. He got his start working at the Mountain Skills Academy in Whistler. Before he knew it, he was managing the place. He's taken this experience and run with it, and these days he's the director, a part owner, and a mountain bike coaching guide here at RideHub in Squamish. On top of that, Ollie's also a seasoned and competitive mountain bike racer with years of experience pushing for his best performance in between the tape. So today I'm excited to dive into the mindset, the lessons, and the realities that come with chasing progression at a high level while also working full-time in the mountain bike industry. On that note, if you've been following along, you'll know we've recently partnered up with Ollie and with RideHub to bring you a brand new mountain bike expedition, exploring some of the best riding zones here in BC. So we're going to give you a behind the scenes look at how that all came together and what you can expect from an expedition with us. It's a lot of talking from me. Welcome to the podcast, Ollie.
Yeah, thank you. I'm stoked to be here.
Right on, man. I was just saying to you off camera that this is going to be an exciting one because we actually haven't spent that much time chatting together outside of kind of the work stuff we've been working on. So I'll be excited to hear your story. Before we dive into that, is there anything that you want to correct from my intro, any of my internet research?
No, it sounds pretty much accurate. Yeah,
Okay.
it's, I guess when you put it like that, coming from home and then moving to Canada, I'm like, yeah, like I now say I live in Canada, which is something that I've like changed, I guess, over the last like year or a couple of years or so. And it's like fully committed. And I'm like, I'm never going back to the UK to visit family, but I'm never going to move back home. So this is home for me now.
And yeah, I guess I share that vision. I can understand why. It's a pretty hard place to leave once you spent some time here. And I'm excited to dive into like why we love it so much and why we both made this our home. But I'm curious, kind of winding back the clock a little bit, like how did you first get into mountain biking? And are there any kind of early memories or early challenges or successes you remember from those early days?
Yeah, I guess when I lived in the UK in Bristol, I guess like mountain biking in Bristol isn't like a huge thing of what I was aware of at the time. I didn't like grow up around mountain biking. Mountain biking wasn't like in my family or something like that. I first just got introduced, I guess like in Bristol, there's lots of like BMX tracks and things like that. So that's kind of like how I didn't like grow up BMX racing, that sort of thing. It was just like all for kind of like fun. There's lots of like kind of like street places you can go ride, like gravel, kind of like proper BMX tracks or like skate parks, things like that. So that was kind of like my first kind of like memories of biking. We also had like small wooded areas. Like we kind of like grew up in more of like a city environment where I first lived in Bristol, and there was like really short local bike trails that were like maybe 20 seconds of riding with like makeshift jumps with sticks over them, that sort of thing. One of my like childhood best friends, he kind of introduced me into biking first. He was like into it with a group of his friends, and he was like, hey, you should like come and try this one day with us. And straight away I was like, oh my God, this is like so cool.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like grew from there. I was like, before you know it, I was like, very quickly realized that maybe in Bristol itself didn't have lots of like mountain biking, but like outside of it, we've got places like South Wales that are pretty close there. And I was always like begging my mum. I was like, hey, can you please take me mountain biking? Because like where we grew up, we couldn't like ride to bike trails. And I like started doing that with my mum, and then she would take me and then we would go together. So yeah, I guess that kind of like is how I first got into biking.
That's super cool. Hey,
Yeah.
I always love hearing stories like that too, where someone perseveres where there perhaps isn't, well, they're not growing up in like a mountain bike,
Exactly.
kind of like
Yeah.
Squamish or Whistler, and you're just riding what you got, doing it for the love of it.
Yeah.
And I guess from a coach's perspective, I'm sure you see this too often. People that do learn to ride bikes in places that don't have very good terrain usually have really good skills. It's like you've got to work with what you've got and you've got to really earn your momentum.
Yeah, I would say that's like the difference with like riding in the UK compared to like Canada is that we haven't got long bike trails. Like where I grew up riding, and I guess this is more of like a later part where I like really started pursuing it maybe when I could like start to drive. Before I could like drive, my mum would take me to like go to places like the Forest of Dean or like places in Wales and things like that. But once I started riding and I could go to places like within like a 30-40 minute drive, I really started like getting into it then, because I was like, oh, now I can go like 5 days a week. Like as soon as I would finish work or school or university at the time, I would be like, okay, as soon as I finished, I'm like, go out and go mountain biking. And that's kind of like where I kind of like found like a lot of my friends I could like then bike with, because I didn't have, and in my friendship group where I like grew up, no one really mountain biked. So I was always doing it on my own.
How did things shift for you when you all of a sudden had that community of like-minded mountain biking friends?
Oh, it was like insane. Like straight away, I started riding bikes in a place called North Nibley, which is about 30 minutes away. And I started getting into like this group of riders where one of them like ended up becoming like the downhill national champion for like his age group. And like, then I kind of like started getting into that. And that's when I like really found like my like people I could ride with. And that was like really cool, because like all of a sudden I was just like biking with like all these insane people. And I was like, okay, I want to be as good as them. So yeah.
It's super cool. Having that motivation with people to spur you on, or even just like show you the path of like, this is what's possible.
100%. Yeah. And then that's just like where it kind of got into like, oh, no, I want to like build some bike trails with these guys and see what they're doing. And like, yeah, and then they started taking me to different places, and that's just kind of like where it kind of like grew for me, for sure.
Right on. And then where did Canada come into the picture? Like, how was that first on your radar as somewhere you wanted to go?
Wow, it's like everyone sees it. They watch that like seasons edit of Whistler where they've got like Steve Pete and everyone like following it, and like you watch all the bike movies and you watch like, oh my God, there's that train gap that everyone does, and that is just like, it was always like a dream that I'd wanted to go and bike outside of the UK. I think my first kind of like memories of biking at the UK was obviously Europe. Europe is so close for us to go biking. So like going to places like Morzine, the Alps, those sort of places. But when it came into Canada, it was always like a place that every mountain biker dreams to go. But when I was at university, one of my best friends I used to race with, he ended up living in Whistler for like 2 years, and just one summer he was like, hey, I've got like, you could come and sleep on my floor and come stay with me. So I just basically stayed with him for a month in like the middle of August or sometime around then, during my break at university. And I was literally there for a month, and I would think probably within like the first 2 days, I was like, I don't know what I have to do, but I'm coming back, like whatever it takes. So I basically spent a whole month there, just like went mountain biking like every single day, saw all the bike trails, rode the bike park, had like the best month I could possibly have. And then as soon as I came back, that was my first year of university. Then after once I finished university, it was literally I graduated, and the day after I flew to Whistler, and then I moved here. So that's kind of how that came about.
And it's cool, isn't it? It's like, we can obviously talk more about the expedition we're putting on later on. Like someone can come here and spend a month just in Whistler, and I'm sure you didn't even ride all the trails there is to ride in a month, right?
No, it was crazy.
It was in a small amount of time, and you can ride such like a variety of trails. And, like,
yeah, it was crazy
without driving anywhere.
Yeah, and I just stayed with him, and I just like biked around everywhere. I went to the bike park like every day, and I kind of like got a cool network of people because he worked at a bike shop in Whistler. So I was able to like meet people at the bike shop. So I was able to just like, hey, ride in there, and say, hey, is anyone riding today? And I literally had someone to ride with every day, and they like showed me like every one of their favorite trails. And like some of the hardest things I've ever ridden at the time is that I was like, oh, I thought I was kind of okay in the UK. And then I come to Canada, I'm like, oh my God, these people are crazy. What are they doing?
Had the exact same experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And then like studying at uni, was that something like outdoors or business related? Was that
Uh,
a jump for you coming here and just getting into the outdoor industry?
no, it was nothing. It was, I ended up doing software development.
Okay.
Why I chose that, I guess when I was in the UK, I didn't really know like what I wanted to do at the time. Kind of like being in the UK, I kind of like had a gap between when I went to college and then what I wanted to do after. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I kind of took like a gap in between going to university, and I spent like a year just like traveling, riding my bike, going to places like Europe, that sort of stuff, riding. And then still after the year, I was like, I still don't know what I want to do. And my parents were like, well, you either have to like go and get a job or you have to go to university. And I decided to go to university. I have no regrets. It was super fun. I met really good friends. But yeah, I kind of like didn't really know what I wanted to do in the UK, I guess. I think then like that trip when I went to Whistler, I kind of like found the people that I knew I kind of connected a bit more with. They were like more the outdoorsy type of people. Never really met those kind of people in the UK. And then that kind of like what like pushed me to like, hey, I'm just going to go and do it. And then I kind of like obviously took a completely different path.
Yeah, amazing.
I have no regrets about it.
Yeah,
So,
travel is such a powerful tool, isn't it? Sort of like figuring out what it is that's important to you, what you
Yeah.
like doing, the people you like to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And just maybe opening yourself up to like different possibilities.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of nodding my head back from similar. I used to be an electrician.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly like that. I just did that because everyone was a tradie where I lived. And then I came here and I was like, wow, there's people that ride bikes and coach people for each.
Yeah.
But that's a job. Cool. And it just like wasn't something that was on the horizon where I was from. So
Yeah.
sounds like you were similar. Really, really cool. Before we get too carried away, I'd love to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast and dive into a little bit of your more recent riding experience. You've obviously done a whole lot of racing. You've not only explored most of the trails in the Sea to Sky, but now you're guiding and coaching people on them as well. I'm curious, are there any strategies you'd picked up along the way on the mental front for both like helping yourself and helping riders you're working with for dealing with things like fear, doubt, uncertainty?
Yeah, I guess like I think one thing is like I think no matter like what level of a rider you are, I think everyone probably like deals with fear in some way. Like it's not doesn't matter if like you're the first person, you're like your first or second day of riding and you're doing something that's like completely new to you, which is like what I've now seen from like a coaching perspective. It's not like something that I've really been a part of so far. Is like being a higher level rider, you don't usually come into contact with like people who are new to biking. But I think no matter what level of rider you are, everyone deals with fear. People obviously deal it in different ways. I think for me, one of the ways I really like to deal with fear is I really like to just like break it down into sections. It's like working on what my experience is and what I've done and thinking it's like, okay, so if I'm approaching this thing that I'm finding like that I'm getting scared at or feeling some sort of anxiety about it, it's just like comparing it to like, oh, what if I've done that's something similar to this? Or what do I know my skill are? Like I know how to, if it's a rock roll, I know how to like approach this first part and like break it down into certain sections. And I think like if you look at a really scary feature and you're like thinking about the worst thing, you think, oh, what's going to happen here? And then that's going to happen. And whatever's going to happen at the end, it's obviously escalating in your brain. And before you know it, you're kind of going crazy and you're talking yourself out of it sort of thing. But if you can just like break it down into certain sections, it comes a little bit more digestible. At least that's how I felt it has been for me. And dealing with that with like maybe newer riders, I find that's like a really good technique. It's like, why are you feeling like this? Like stopping me, like, what are you scared about? What can we do to like prevent that being happening? Okay, I'm scared about this section and there's roots everywhere. It's like, well, what is the skill that we need to do to like overcome this section? Breaking it down, talking about it, and not just rushing into it. I think a lot of people can like rush into things. You see that when you're like maybe out riding like on your own out in Squamish and it's outside of the coaching level and you got your friends at the bottom and then they're like, just ride it, you'll be fine, just lean back. And then, but if you just like spend some more time with that rider and broke things down, I think that's really one of the main things that I find helped me and has helped maybe in my coaching as well.
Yeah, I love that. So making sure you actually have the tools for the job.
Yeah.
And then making sure you can see the line of success.
Exactly.
Before you just up it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just like coming to terms with is like not every day is going to be your good day. Like you don't have to always do something. Like I think there's sometimes a lot of pressure that you put under yourself. Like, so I have to do this. It's like, what? Like, because this other person did it or whatever that might be. It's just like, it's going to come. Sometimes you just got to walk away. Think maybe it's not your day. What do I need to do to build myself back up to doing that? What is something that's like this, that's smaller and easy, a little bit easier to do that I can like practice on a few times? Okay, maybe then I'll go back to that when I'm ready as well.
Yeah, super sound process. Do you ever feel that pressure when you're riding with maybe like a fast crew and then maybe it doesn't feel like there's the time to stop and kind of rationalize and go through that process, and it's kind of like,
oh, 100%. I think that's sometimes like what can be one of the best things about biking and what can be sometimes one of the worst. Like I think sometimes there's like no better feeling of like riding in a really cool group of people and like you're feeling your best and you're like riding, maybe you're riding something blind and you're just like, I'm like fully trusting what the person's doing in front of me. And it's just like, I have that experience of like, okay, I know who that is in front and I trust them. I know what their level is. If they're hitting this and they look fine, I know I'm going to be okay. But also it can be like the worst sometimes as well, where it's just like a lot of pressure to try and do something because you know everyone else is going to be doing it. I think maybe that comes under more of like a social pressure because you're like, hey, if my buddy's doing this, that maybe that means I have to do this. I think I'm pretty good at turning away things that I know that I can't do. But like, so it's obviously like something in you that always wants to make you push yourself. So that's also quite fun too.
Yeah. And has that changed kind of over the years? You feel like you've got older and wiser?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like I think that's the same in a lot of people's riding is like, as you become a more experienced rider, you kind of like start to understand maybe what you can and can't do. And when I first started biking, I was like crashing like every ride and hurting myself quite a lot. But definitely as I've gotten more experience and I like understand. And also it's just like, I think for me, I just know that like we have such a long season of like things that we can do here. In the winter, I love skiing and all things like that. And in the summer, I love biking. And I'm just like happy that I know it's just like, I know I've got a lot ahead of me that I want to do. If that be like early season, maybe I don't take as much risk of what I'm pushing myself, but maybe further into the season, once I know I start building back up riding, maybe that comes into it as well for me. So yeah.
No, I personally often struggle with like the equation of like playing it safe and, you know, maintaining our health so we can ride all season, not getting injured. But then also he's taking perhaps enough risk so that we can keep progressing. It's a fine line, isn't it? It's sometimes a balance when you're working and your job is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially when it like my job is a lot of it is obviously like working in a shop as well, but there is part of it that's like my role does require me to like use my body, but also it's just like that's everything I do. It revolves around me being outside and riding my bike. So that's always definitely something that like plays in the back of my mind for sure when I'm riding.
Do you have any like strategies or techniques you use to, I guess, to stay focused on the task at hand, riding well, and not let yourself get distracted by any of the external?
Like when I'm like actually riding my bike?
So I know, like you said before, it's so easy to get distracted by like all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
That tree, don't hit that root, or looks slippery.
Yeah.
How do you stay focused on this, like being stable, being adaptable, and actually riding your bike well?
For sure. I guess like, I think like when I'm like actually riding my bike, I think is part of it is maybe just having like a little bit of trust in what you know what your skill is. You know what I'm riding. I'm just like, I know that I'm feeling quite comfortable right now. You know, always like looking ahead at the trail, not making rash decisions on what I'm trying to do whilst I'm riding. And also, for sure, I like talk to myself when I'm riding and like calming myself down, because like you can get to that like kind of level where I think sometimes it can be like you're quite worried and quite scared, and that can change how you ride. But for sure, it can be like sometimes when you're just like way too excited and you're just like way too irrational. And you're just like, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this.
If you go
And
both
then,
ways, like
yeah.
too much fear on one side can be dangerous, and too much excitement on the other side can be dangerous.
Oh, 100%. You just like you just kind of almost become like, oh, I'm invincible, I can do anything now. So I would say, yeah, I think that still like comes down to the part of like breaking it down and still just trying to remember this, just like, okay, I know what I'm like. If I'm doing some sort of like jump line or something where it's like, hey, I need to like pick this line on this corner, so I know I can still have the right amount of speed to clear this jump or get to this certain section. It's just like, again, for me, it's just like breaking it down. It's just like, okay, let's not think that far ahead of them. Let's just like do this first thing. And okay, now I know that I've done that. And then think about the next thing. Don't think about too many things at once inside your head.
I always like thinking of the analogy, a coach I used to work with in that the well from Endless Biking, he used to talk about kind of dividing your trail up like you divide your birthday.
Yeah.
So rather than just like sit down on the laptop for 8 hours, like we do a little bit in the coffee and we do a little bit more at lunch. We're kind of breaking the trail up that way. It sounds like what you're explaining now.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I think I remember I was helping coach at like a Coast Gravity event at one point, and I wasn't coaching, but I was just like kind of like observing and being there to help. And like it was a group of people that were trying to do like quite the big like jump line there, and I was just like being like the demo of the rider, and then there was quite a high level coach there, and then like one of the people in the group was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And then the coach just went, hey, I just watched you. You know how to corner. You know how to do the drop. You just haven't done the jump yet, right? Just do the jump, then do the drop, and then like just think about it. And you've done so many good things up to this. Just like try to focus on that final bit. I've seen you do all of it. Don't get overwhelmed in terms of like, oh, I've got to do this to do that. It's like, you know how to corner. You know how to do this jump. Now you just got to put it all together. It just like at the time to me just like really resonated. I was like, oh, it's like he was trying to maybe do what I was just talking about. It was just like just trying to put it together, but he was like breaking it down in like a very easy, digestible way. Not trying to overwhelm the person and be like, hey, you got to do this before you got to do that. You got to make sure you're off your brakes. Think about where you are at this point. It's just like quite digestible section.
The reality of it is we're not doing all of those things at the same time. We're doing the entry to the corner, the middle of the corner, the exit of corner, and the takeoff, the landing.
Yeah.
It's all separate components. And it's like if you mess up one jump, sure, pull out of that line and start again. But if you land that well, it's like, okay, now what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? Keep moving on. I love that. You mentioned self-talk in there. I think that's a really big one. And I always love asking riders on this podcast if there's any particular like mottos or phrases you like to repeat to yourself.
Probably not too much. Yeah, I'm definitely like going, come on, like, you can do this. Like you're all good. Like almost like talking myself down, like reaffirming that I'm like, okay, I know how I'm doing this. Maybe not like a motto at some point. Like I don't know. Maybe sometimes I always had this like thing where sometimes it's really small, but like almost all the time when I'm nervous, I'll like just do up my helmet like one little extra bit. It's like a really small thing like that. I'm like, okay, I know that I got my helmet on and I'm fine.
That's a really good thing for to say.
Yeah.
Check the goggles and it becomes like an anchor or a cue to kind of drop into that zone.
100%.
It's like, like equipment's good. I can trust it.
Yeah. Yeah. But just talking to myself, I'm just like almost like going, okay, it's all good. Like, don't worry, you've got this. You know what you're doing. I definitely like have put GoPros on before and then I could hear myself talking for sure.
Amazing, man. I love it. And then how do things change for you when you get in between the tape? I know you've quite a wealth of racing experience both here in Canada and abroad. Do you have any particular strategies or things you'll do for managing nerves on race day? Or are you just stoked to be out there and not really feeling nerves?
I would say that maybe I think like, I maybe started racing like in the UK, like in the UK racing was actually quite a big thing for like mountain bikers at some point. It was just like kind of had like the boom for me when I was like 17, 18, where like a whole bunch of us could like start driving. We went to all like the kind of the national enduro races, like all around the UK. And I think, and then like I kind of definitely like progressed on and was doing it for quite a few years. And I would say like over time that kind of changed for me. I would say like right when I first started racing, I just did terribly. Like I think I was putting quite a lot of pressure on myself. I was like, oh, I've got to be good. I've got to do this. I've got to like come at this point here. And I think after a certain amount of time, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of like over this. I'm doing terribly. I'm like, what's the point of it? And then after a certain amount of time, I realized I was like why, like, mountain biking's fun. Like, why am I doing this and I'm not having fun? And then I kept on doing it. But I kind of just took it less seriously. And I think that pressure that I was putting on myself before just made me super nervous.
Mhm.
Like I was nervous before I'd like drop in, like point where I was like, oh my God, I'm like really struggling to like almost like breathe here because I'm like thinking every single thing that's coming up. I'm like, oh, I've got to make sure I'm like on that line there so then I could get the speed for this and do that. And everything just became too much. And then I think maybe that's just maturity in terms of just like how the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. But I think also was probably more of like a mental switch that was just like, I kind of like maybe cared a little bit less. And then it took a couple years, but for sure it translated into me having more fun. And then all of a sudden it just like clicked and like things just started going better. I was having more fun. It seemed like I was doing a little bit better. My riding got better and I was just like took it a little bit less seriously. Whereas a couple of my friends maybe didn't as much. And like all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm kind of doing a little bit better than these people that I was doing a lot worse than before. So I think I just took that little bit of pressure off myself, allowed myself to have more fun, if that be like not having to worry about, oh, I got to be on this line here because everyone's stopping and looking at where they need to be, and just realizing that especially maybe in enduro, it's not all about like, I'm going to nail this corner here, because when you look at the amount of time that you're racing on, you're like, some of them are like, in the UK it's a little bit different, but like here in Canada, sometimes you're like over an hour of racing. It says, hey, if I nail this corner, the reality is like, not really that much difference, but over a course of a whole stage, like consistency is huge.
So do you find yourself sometimes then maybe choosing like the safer, slower lines versus like charging the sketchiest line?
I would say so, yeah, for sure.
Wipe off a part of your time?
Yeah, and then obviously sometimes things happen and you get wild and stuff like that, but I'd like to think I'm more on the like consistency rather than like, oh, this person like nailed this one section here. Like over the longer, normally the longer the stage, usually the better I am. So just kind of goes with that consistency part.
So you find you kind of get into the flow then?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's interesting. Because I feel like the longest day, it's like the longer it is, the harder it is physically.
Yeah.
So you got to perform for a longer amount
I
of time.
really like
There's
the
more
physical
opportunities to mess up.
Yeah, and I really like the physical like stages as well. The ones with like a sprint in the middle, that sort of thing. It's just, and then you're like fully gassed going into a section, something like that. That's what I really like the most.
Yeah, nice. I'm curious there. Do you, like when you're out practicing for racing, do you practice that? Like climbing all the way up to a trail and dropping straight in while you're gassed?
No, not really. No, I think I kind of like, for me, how I would just practice it is I was just like, try my best to like, okay, I'm going to ride this at a pace that I'm like very comfortable at doing. Maybe it's not what I would use. Maybe it's a bit quicker than what I would like ride regularly for fun, but it's not how quick I would like go and race. And then I would like ride something and I'm like, okay, if I'm happy with what I did, that's okay. Because like the reality is I'm not going to remember where I am when it comes to the racing. I'm terrible at remembering, like even in my own time, if I ride something and then someone's like, oh, what do you think of that corner with that thing, jump after, and I'm like, I honestly have no idea.
Like the corner, through with the rock, right? Yeah.
But for racing, I usually just like ride a trail, and I'm like, if I'm happy with this, I won't stop. If I riding something and I like fully mess up and I take a wrong line where it's like I know that's like if I take that one I race, that's gonna like really affect what I do. I'll probably push up, do it again. Okay, I'm happy with this. Carry on. And then there'll be like key things. I'm like, there's always like a few different places where you're like, if I took that line there, I'm going to really lose time. So I'll try to remember those like key sections, but I won't like worry, like stress. It'd be like, oh, because like I've found that in the past where I'm like, it comes to like when I used to be nervous for sure that like I'm not on this high line here, and then I'm like, ah, damn, I suck. I'm not doing this, and I've got to make up the time, and then I'll pedal really hard, and then I'll crash, and then I'm like, oh, what? All of that time that I tried to make up now is useless because I just crashed.
It's compounded, isn't it?
For sure.
Like, I think that's one of the hardest things, though, especially when you are in a race and you are trying to go fast, is like letting go of the corner behind you or whatever it was behind you messed up.
Yeah.
And resetting. So this was another question I want to ask you. Like, how do you mentally and physically like reset after mistakes, sketchy moments, crashes, mid-race run? How do you leave it behind you?
I would say, like, it's definitely, you just gotta like completely be like, I gotta cut this out. I think sometimes you gotta like realize this is like, I definitely like messed up here. I gotta like try a little bit harder to make up some time, depending on what you're doing. Because like if I like fully mess up, I definitely gotta make sure that I can't mess up again. But I also gotta make sure I can try and make up a little bit of time. I just like fully try and like blank it over my head. It also helps sometimes when you're like riding something where you're like, okay, I know I'm comfortable in this section. As soon as you get comfortable again, I know I can like block it out. If I'm like worried and I'm like trying to force myself to like ride my bike better, I know that anxiety and how that's going to make me feel is just going to make me ride worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to just like try to get back in the flow. Okay, I'm like riding now. I know what I'm doing. I'm on my bike. I'm riding. And like you kind of forget about it. If you like mess up and you're like really forcing it and then you're like losing a pedal, or I'm not doing this, or I'm like, when you're not riding how you want to ride. But if you can just like get back to that point, I can then I'll forget about it. But if I'm like, maybe that means I have to let off the gas a little bit, and then once I'm feeling it, then pick it up again. But yeah, it just comes with like that kind of, I guess, a little bit of the experience of knowing that we just don't want to push ourselves too much, because that's when like you can crash or lose more time as well.
Yeah, I guess like anything, it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yes.
And I really like that process. It sounds to me a lot like replacing the thoughts of like whatever happened back there with something else, like some affirmations of like, okay, I'm doing, I've got this, I know what I'm doing, slowing it down, coming back to control, and then building up from that stable place.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. That's some wisdom those that are signing up for the Squamish Enduro or the Lone Hustler this year can take us, I'm sure.
Yes.
Also, I wanted to talk here a little bit about coaching. How did you first get into coaching, and what is it that you love most about it?
Well, I first got into coaching obviously when I started working at RideHub. It just seemed like the most ideal progression to me. That was just like, I love riding bikes. I haven't been doing it for super long, but maybe for the last like two or 3 years, I guess. I just like, it's just like fun teaching someone who's new, and I guess just sharing like kind of like the stoke that you have. I think like it's definitely, I'm definitely still learning of like the best way to teach lots, because there's so many different ways that people learn. I'm pretty lucky at RideHub that I don't do it full time, so I can kind of like pick and choose what I'd like to do, which is really nice, that I'm not like fully coaching all the time. But for me, it's just like sharing the stoke of like, oh, this is what it was like when I first started getting into biking, and just like teaching someone that, oh my God, I like can't believe that like you changed it, that even just like a small thing of like, oh, maybe you should try like changing your body position slightly to feel like this when you go around a corner. And they're like, oh my God, that's changed like loads. And then like you'll see someone out on the trail and they're like, oh, you taught me. Oh, thank you so much. I've been really enjoying that. There's that side of it that I really
such a cool experience, and that's one of my favorite parts as well. Like those little things that have like those light bulb moments for people. Where holy shit, everything has changed.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think the other part for me is just like guiding as well, which is really fun. Like taking people that have like never been to Squamish and never like mountain biked in BC before, and then they come and you just want to show them around, and they're just like, oh my god, like In-N-Out Burger is like as cool as I thought it was gonna be, and like you took me down it, like this is like what I've been like saving up for a long period of time just to come and do this, and you've taken me here and you've got to show me this, and it's just like it's like makes you feel like really lucky. I guess like to me it's like coming from a different place, that if I it's like, oh, this is what it was like for me, and now I get to share that with others. Guiding is also really fun for that as well.
It is freaking awesome, hey?
Yeah.
And like being able to be part of people's bucket list dream.
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
100%.
What's the biggest like skill or thing you find yourself teaching new riders that are experiencing BC for the first time?
Like I've never ridden in
Never
BC.
ridden in BC.
For sure, riding rock slabs. Yeah, 100%. Like people are like, well, I just gotta lean back and pull my back brake, right? And you're like, no, it's actually the complete opposite to that. And they're like, what? And then you teach them how to like use a front brake and like how to ride a rock slab, and they're like, oh wow, this how can I ride my bike down a rock slab that's like this steep and I'm still going this slow? And it's pretty cool because like it's something that there's not like many other places in the world that have like rock slabs as cool as we have here.
Yeah, it's pretty mental as you want to just connecting those two. They're like foundation skills, bottom of their skills pyramid, but braking and body positioning.
Yeah.
And being able to ride down some crazy steep terrain.
100%.
And I also love like being able to use that train to train people's ability to kind of modulate their brake.
Yeah.
And then that'll help them when they get back on loose surfaces as well.
100%.
Super cool stuff. Would love to hear more about the story of joining RideHub. How did that come to be, and why did you kind of like jump at an opportunity?
So when I first moved to Whistler, I started working at a company called Mountain Skills Academy, which is a guiding company in Whistler. They do like more like mountaineering, ski touring, rock climbing, that sort of stuff. I started just working as a booking agent. It was actually my first proper job. I started working at like Gap or something like that, or I used to deliver like noodle deliveries, like the noodle box. And then I got a job at Mountain Skills Academy as like a booking agent, so just answering the phone, that sort of thing. And then I think it was like maybe 3 weeks after I started, the marketing person like just quit, like walked out.
Cool.
And then like the person who owned it, his name was Eric, was like in the office. I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? We're like in our peak season, like I'm stressing. And I was like, I'll give it a go. And he was like, okay, like let's do it. Like you've only started working there, but let's try it. So I kind of like morphed into like helping with like marketing, that sort of stuff. Like I didn't per se have too much experience in marketing, but kind of coming from like we did a bit of software, but we also did a bit of like graphic design. I did print and publishing at like college, so I was able to take a few of those skills and like kind of put it together. And I also like really hated our website that we had, and I was like, I did web development at university, so I was like, hey, I could build a website at the same time. And he was like, oh my god, this is perfect. So I like kind of just like morphed into like that kind of like marketing sales kind of background. And then I ended up taking like a kind of like 7-month trip where I like moved into a van and was like working remotely for the company. And when I was actually in like Mexico surfing, like just working remotely. And then like Eric at the time, so I was like working there for like 3 years, I guess, called me and he was like, oh, Ollie, I find out this cool opportunity of this bike shop that's being sold in Squamish called RideHub. And I've like never heard of RideHub before. And he says to me, he was like, I know you're into mountain biking. He kind of comes from like a mountain guide background. He was like starting to get into mountain biking. He was like, but you are a mountain biker. I know this is like the thing that you enjoy the most. And he was like, would you want to consider to be like putting in some money to purchase the company? And I was like, okay, let me think about this. And I was like, sorry, I was like, well, like maybe not the point in my like life where I was like wanting to be a business owner, to be completely honest. I was living in my van in Mexico, like surfing on the beach, where I was like, this is like, I still had like planned another like 4 months, like not coming back to Canada. I was like, but like, is another opportunity like this ever going to happen again in my life? And I was like, okay, let's give it a go. So then he was like, it's like basically like, he told me quite late and he was like, well, this is kind of happening like right now. So I'm like, I basically just drove straight back to Canada and just like, it kind of, the whole thing happened within like the first week or so that I was there. And that kind of like how I started working at RideHub, essentially. I did a bit of time where I like transitioned out of my role and like found someone else to take my other job. So I was doing that. I was kind of like doing a bit of both roles for about a year or about half a year to maybe a year, until I was just like, hey, I just like fully, this is like burning out now. So I decided, I was like, I'm only going to do RideHub. And then just like, that's kind of when I transitioned to like solely working at RideHub.
Amazing. It's such a cool story in like relatively short amount of time. Like lots of changes and just like progression to get to where you are now. I love it.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of that quote that like good luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Like obviously some great opportunities there. That I'm sure they weren't easy decisions to make when they took a lot of hard work as well. Like even just completely changing your plans and driving from Mexico back here. And
Fish that.
Really cool there. And then I'm curious, like, what's your day-to-day look like now as the part owner of one of the busiest bike shops in Squamish? Like, it's end of January now, and you were just telling me things are popping off because the weather's been awesome.
Yes. So, like, my role is obviously, I think for me that, you know, when I like first like looked into RideHub, I was like, I knew that like I was obviously like into mountain biking, but when he first said it, he was like, oh, a bike shop. I was like, like owning a bike shop, that didn't really excite me too much. And I was like, when I like looked into RideHub a little bit more, I was like, oh, RideHub's cool. We've got RideHub seems to do like have a coffee shop and bike rentals, and they do coaching and guiding, and they also had a small like retail sort of area as well. And I was like, I think that kind of what excited me the most. It's just like RideHub has all these like different parts to it, but together, like, well, that's why it's called like the hub of all the different parts to it, is that it all works quite well together. And I think that's the thing that excited me the most. That has its challenges in its own, is that we're basically managing all these different parts of the business. But that keeps us basically busy all year round. So like right now we're in the middle of winter, we're kind of getting towards spring. We've had to make sure we got all of our dates for coaching out, planning and purchasing our bike rentals, ensuring all our bikes are ready. We're pretty lucky here in Squamish that we can basically ride our trails all year round. I think we had like a few weeks where it snowed like a while ago, but now all the trails are like perfect condition again. So that keeps it fairly busy, and the coffee shop adds a really cool factor to that as well, that it kind of gives a little bit of life to it, that it's like, it's not just a bike shop where we're sitting there and fixing bikes or waiting for someone to come in. We got a bit of a constant flow of people. So with my role, I'm essentially overseeing all of that. I'm really lucky that we have like a really cool team of people. We have some like really talented mechanics, people who are baristas, someone who's in charge of marketing, another operations manager that I work closely together to ensure everything is running. And it's just like a really fun and friendly place to work, and like a really cool atmosphere. Obviously, a little bit biased on that part, but I think everyone enjoys working there. So
like even seeing like since you guys took over, it's expanded. Like you've doubled the size of the shop, but also doubled down on the community aspect as well. And that's what I kind of picked out there as being most cool. You mentioned like first come into Whistler and like fallen in love with the community, and now you're a part of creating one here in Squamish. So I think that's right.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, we like during the summer we try to do like social rides where people come and then would come for a bike ride with us, and then we came back and we had like beer and pizza and a social evening at RideHub, and there were people that will come and they were like, oh, I've just arrived in Squamish and I'm finding new people to ride with. This is super cool. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of like what I would have wanted. So yeah, it's like you said, the community aspect of RideHub, and what we're trying to build is like friends coming in, having coffee, and it's adding that kind of like fun, friendly part to a work day. I really enjoy that.
So awesome, man. And you've also been so willing to collaborate with other businesses here in town as well.
Yeah.
And that's obviously one thing I'm really excited to talk about today on this podcast. I sent you guys an email back last year and kind of arranged a coffee at RideHub where all good things start. And we got chatting, and I kind of said to you guys, hey, I'm running this mountain bike expedition down in Tasmania with Tailored Trails. It's guided, it's coached, it's got this kind of by riders, for riders feel. And I can't help but want to run one here in the Zeta Sky. And you guys were pretty much on board instantly. We were like, right, let's do this thing. This sounds awesome. I'm curious to hear from you, from your perspective, like what makes you so excited about running an expedition like this here in the Zeta Sky?
I think for me, it's that we like at RideHub, we do guiding. We like guide people around like the trails and that sort of thing. But it's not the easiest place to just like come and go on a bike trip and just like figure it out yourself. Like the trail network in Squamish is complicated. If you just like bring up trail forks and look at all the trails, you're like, oh my God, like how do I get to In-N-Out Burger? Or how do I get to this trail and easily? And
then you get there and realize there's like actually 3 trails, not 1.
Yes. And then you're like, oh, wait, how do I get to this? And then you turn left and you see this like huge where you're like, oh, I should have gone this way. And anyways, it's like, if like just add in that convenience of like having the guide and having a group of people to come and doing it. And what I'm excited for is that with this expedition is we're just showing every good quality part that we have for the trails here and like putting it all together and having like a set plan of like, hey, this is where we're going to go and this is what we're going to do. We're also going to give you some skills at the same time and maybe take some of that headache out of it, where you know that every day that you come riding with us, you're going to have like the best time. And then like it, and I think for us is, I think I'm really excited about like kind of like the atmosphere that we're going to build, and like that kind of it's going to be fun because we're going to be like with the people the majority of the time and showing them the trails, places to go and eat in the evenings. I think for me, the thing that I got like most excited was I went on a trip to Finale Ligure in the fall, and it's like everything that they do there. It's like you book a guide and that's kind of like the way that you do it, because like the trails are again like very similar to Squamish, where you like don't really know where to go, and they include the shuttle for you, and then you have the guide, and then you get to know the guide, and then you get to like meet these also random people that are on your like trip with you, and you become quite good friends, and then you're like stoked to ride with them. So I think trying to take that concept into like what we have here is it's super exciting for sure, and it's like nothing that people really do here at the moment.
All right. It is mind-boggling for me that this isn't a thing already. Yeah, but that's also exciting that there's an opportunity there for us and there for our guests that get to come with us this year and beyond. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, I guess some of my excitement and some of my why for doing this is making it easier for people coming here than it was for me when I first came here. Because I was definitely like falling into that DIY camp of out on trail walks, trying to figure it out, trying to meet people to ride with, trying to figure out where's good, and often finding myself getting lost or getting into trouble or like walking down a trail because I've chose the wrong one for liability, or just like not knowing how to ride it or wishing I could see someone ride it fast.
Or just having the shuttles, like having it like in Squamish, if you could just have one shuttle that takes you to the top. We're not shuttling as per se, because like the way it works in Squamish is you shuttle and then you do like up and downs and you get down. Enduro shuttles. An assisted shuttle bike ride.
Like, that's even part of it too, isn't it? Like having people to show you the best loops in Squamish. Yes. This is a 10-day guided coach trip. Like 10 days of riding is like, that's a lot, but it's also not a lot considering how much we have to ride here. So it's like you want to get bang for your buck. You want to make sure you're riding the best of the best.
Yeah.
And riding trails that you're going to find fun. So that's a part I'm excited about. Also really excited about for the bike park day.
Yes.
And having that lift line priority, I think is going to be a huge win.
For sure.
Anyone that's been to Whistler in July and August or seen the lift line cam there, it gets pretty hectic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Any memories from you from like early kind of sea to sky mountain biking road trips? Any kind of highlights or things you want to talk about there?
I think I still just got like the best memories when I first came to that first month. It was just like diving into as much riding as like I possibly could when I was in Whistler. It was just like we did like amazing rides where I remember like one of the rides was we had they had the Northern Lights or the Aurora in Whistler one day, and we just so happened to be there when I was there for the month I was there, and we ended up pedaling our bikes up to like one of the highest peaks, and there was a shack, and we like a small hut, and we slept in the hut and we watched the Aurora, slept in there, and then we like rode down and had breakfast like in the morning, and then my friend went to work and he was like, I do this like quite often, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like insane that you get to do that like what in a place that you live. So that was like one of the things that like sold it for me. I also went on a trip to Williams Lake when I was here, which was super cool because I was like here for maybe, I guess that would have been like 2.5 weeks at the time. And then we were like, oh, my friend's like, oh, we're going away for the weekend. And then I'm like, where are we going? And they're like, Williams Lake. And then I like look on the map and I'm like, oh my God, this place is like miles away. It's like in the UK, we don't travel very far. So like when I look on the map and I'm like, oh, well, that's like really far. It's like, if we were in the UK, it's like driving to the furthest point in the UK, but we're going to do that on the weekend. And then you like just go past Pemberton and you're just like, it's a completely different type of landscape. And you don't really realize that when you come to visit here, because just like, even when you go to Pemby, it's like already you just go down the hill slightly and it's more like deserty, like more dry. And then you go over the like pass into like Lillooet and it's like kind of like a desert. It seems so weird. Like you're not really used to that, like living in the UK. So that was super cool. Yeah.
It's nuts, isn't it? Just the scale of BC. It's such a, like, I'm from Australia, it's a pretty big country as well.
Yeah.
Probably similar size to Canada, but just like BC, because it's so mountainous, it takes so far to travel from one place to another. It's
yes. Yeah.
But that's also the part I love about it most is like we can hang out in a relatively small zone and we can ride a different style, a different feel of trails every day.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things that I'm most hyped about this expedition. Obviously, we're doing expeditions all around the world now, but BC is just so set up for it because our biggest day of driving, I think, is going to be like on our second last day when we come from Pemberton back to RideHub, our home base in Squamish. It's like an hour 20.
Yes. Yeah.
So most of the days when we do travel, it's going to be like 45 minutes.
Yeah. 100%.
Like that first day, it's going to be like pick everyone up from YBI airport there or from the hotel in Vancouver, then bring them up here to base camp to RideHub to build their bikes. It's like a 45-minute journey.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we're hitting trails after that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Hey,
pretty spectacular. Like less faff, less driving, and more riding.
Yeah,
really, really excited for that. And also, like you mentioned there, just the ability to get into the remote backcountry and into places that feel just completely untouched and rugged, but also being able to ride down a trail and have a beer that afternoon or be back in civilization.
Yeah, like I'm
pretty special.
I'm definitely like super excited for when we go up and do like the Lord of Squirrels Day. I think that was one of the things I did when I first visited, but that was when they never had a climbing trail. So when they didn't have a climbing trail, you used to have to push up the trail.
Well, I never did.
And then, so basically the whole day that we ride, like the climbing trail, before that existed, you'd have to push up the bike trail and then ride back down the same trail.
Hurdling down.
Yeah, so because they never had a climbing trail. And then it took them a while, obviously, to put the climbing trail in. But like the fact that there is a trail where that is, and we're going into the Alpine, I think that was one of the coolest things for me as well when I first came to here, is just like we are riding our bikes in the Alpine. I was like, what's the Alpine? And you get to the place where there's like no more trees now, and you're like, oh my God, this is wild.
It's really bad territory, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can go swimming in like the small little like Alpine lakes in the Alpine. It's such a wild place.
So the sandwiches always taste better after.
Yes, 100%. And then we ride down, and then you're like got like over an hour of descending, and then we're back in Whistler, and you're like, oh wow, we were like literally just up there, and now we're down here drinking a beer in the village. It's pretty cool place.
It's a nutty day, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that climbing trail is called Into the Mystic, and it does just feel like you're going up and up and up.
Yeah.
But then the down also feels like you're going down and down and down. So super rewarding day. And I'm sure glad we kind of put our heads together. And obviously there's so much riding to do here. I think on a 10-day trip, the other mistake I see a lot of riders making when they come here for the first time is riding 10 days in a row.
Yeah.
And maybe trying to do like a 6-hour day every day. But we've like a strategic rest day in the middle there so that we can be fresh legged for that trip.
Yeah.
And then I think the day after is our second bike park day. So that's going to be a sweet batch before we head up to Pemberton. What's your thoughts on the riding up in Pemberton? I know a lot of people find it different to the riding here in Squamish and the riding in Whistler as well.
Yeah, I think Pemby, like if you can get it when it's good, is like it's insane. It's some of like the best riding that you can do. Like I spend a lot of time riding in Pemby. I really like Pemby. I feel like it's a little bit more off the beaten path, a little bit like
More rugged.
The trails are a little bit more raw. It's like crazy, like you said, like we're just driving like an hour and a little bit, and we're just like in a completely different environment. The trees are slightly different. I really like riding in Pemby. I think there's not a little bit less people around. Feels a little bit more Canadian. You're out of like the hustle and bustle of Whistler. It's really nice to have that in Whistler, but the way that we've planned it, where we go like Squamish, you get to see like the slabs and what we have in Squamish, and it's the closest to the airport, so less driving. Whistler, you get to experience Whistler because Whistler's Whistler, and then you finish in Pemby, and then you get like this is a bit, feels like very Canadian here, and a little bit less trails, but still super quality trails. So yeah, I really like the riding there.
It's really progressive, isn't it? Both in like, I guess the sphere's kind of building up to Whistler, and then often that's like overstimulating after a few days there. Then we go to Pemberton and chill out.
Yeah.
But we probably get like our most technical riding of the whole expedition to finish off once everyone's been working on their skills for like 89 days.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I guess the final thing I wanted to touch on here is like the crew that we're putting together, because I think that's a really important part of this expedition. But maybe one of the things that sets it apart from other tours where you maybe just book on and you'll end up in a bunch of random people who are probably all really nice, but maybe don't always match your riding level or your vibe. So that's something we kind of put our heads together and highlighted as something that was really important. And I guess we're kind of looking for riders that not only want to ride, gnarly BC trails and slabs, but are also down for doing some coaching, for working on their riding. We're also going to bring some value and bring a good vibe to the group as well.
Yeah.
So really excited for that. What do you look for in riding buddies?
Well, for me, I really like going on long bike rides, like ones where you're like out for the whole day and you're like basically dawn till dusk, and you know that when you got a good riding buddy, that when like someone's like fully like on the brink of like bonking, they're still having like a really good time. You're like, all right, I'm like fully like really could do with like having like stopping and eating like a burger and stop having food and having a nice rest here. But the people that are like still like super positive, happy, really fun to be around, they're the sort of people I like to put myself around when I'm doing that. And I spend a lot of my summer doing a lot of those rides. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you definitely more buddies you can rely upon to be solid for the whole journey, even if things go a little bit south.
For sure. And you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought there was a bike trail up here. I'm lost. I'm like walking through bushes, trying to find this trail that like someone told me about, that like we found on a map, but it might not be the best, but they're still having a good time. That's the sort of people I like riding with.
I love that. I was going to close this out by asking you what a perfect ride looks like, but I think you just answered that.
I think I did, yeah. Basically, dawn till dusk, suffering, but still having a really good time, and then you're riding a quality trail at the end of it.
Don't worry, guys. We'll get someone else to guide the expedition. Suffer for them.
But we're not going to be doing that for the expedition. I promise.
It's going to be all about next good times. Hey,
I guess.
Well, without like plugging it too much, but I mean, we're going to have two guides on the trip the whole time.
Yes.
And that's another thing we done intentionally so that if there is people that are like, hey, I'm stoked, I want to do an extra lap.
Yeah.
We can do that. And if there's people that are like, hey, I want to get back to the skills area and keep practicing my drops, we can do that. And then if there's people that are like, hey, I want a beer and a burger,
Yeah.
we can do that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all about making sure everyone's cup's full. To close this out then, if you could leave our listeners with just one key takeaway, maybe thinking back to the mindset stuff we were talking about earlier, what would it be?
Just make sure you're always having fun. Like, I think people can like for sure overthink things and then get that in their own head and be like, oh my God, I'm not doing what I wanted to do today on the ride, or I'm not gonna do that rock roll. But just like maybe make sure you bring it back into like, why did I get into mountain biking in the first time? You know, like you know that you're having fun doing this sport because that's why you probably got into it and why you're carrying on doing it. It's like some days things just won't go well and it might not be what you wanted to do, but like you don't need to worry about that. It's all good. Like just try to focus on still trying to have fun.
I love that, man. Wise words. And coming back to that motivation piece, like, what's my why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do this today. Why do I want to do it?
Yeah.
Amazing. If people want to find yourself and RideHub on the internet,
where
you find them.
For RideHub, you can just we're on Instagram, Facebook. Just search for RideHub. We got a website, ridehub.ca. You can find all of our social content and all of that on there as well.
Amazing. I'll put those links down in the show note. We'll also have a link to the BC mountain bike expedition. Always, thanks so much for your time today.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure chatting some more.
Yeah, thank you.
And you guys are listener. Hopefully see you in BC this summer.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.